average kid, we can greatly develop their lower levels of their brain and their mobility and their motor pathways. So opportunity is very much of a key. And what we do for all of our babies around here is we give them opportunity to be on the floor all day long, all day, as in 24 hours a day. Now, if you think about that for a moment, you say, oh my gosh, does that mean they're talking about little babies down there on the floor, sleeping on the floor at night? My gosh, that's barbaric. Well, if you think that's barbaric, we'd ask you please to whisper that, because, you know, we have some Japanese families here in the room with us, and we have lots of Japanese staff, and I have Japanese members of my family, so you may offend we Japanese, because the Japanese, of course, have been sleeping on the floor for thousands of years, eating on the floor, working on the floor. And don't tell us that it's barbaric to have our babies down there on the floor. So what we do around here is we all become a little Japanese, and we give our babies opportunity to be on the floor, even at night when they're sleeping. Now, this is one of our most important discoveries in terms of mobility. The first part of it is obvious. The key here is opportunity. Newborn babies will sleep 12, 14, or more hours a day. The majority of their lives, they're unconscious. So why throw that opportunity out the window? That's the first point. The second point is that we have discovered that tiny newborn babies and children with young neurological ages. Now, what would be a child with a young neurological age? Well, a 4-year-old profoundly brain-injured child can have a neurological age of a 1-month-old. So we're talking about that kid too. Those kids and average newborn babies will actually move more when they're asleep than they will when they're awake. Well, now how could that be? Well, you may well have seen this. Remember your older kid, the one that you didn't come and take this course for? You put him in his crib at night, you tucked him in, then you came back several hours later to check him to make sure he was all right. Where was he? Well, he was all stuffed up against the headboard. Well, how did he get all stuffed up against the headboard? He got there because he crawled there, and if the headboard hadn't have been there, he would have kept right on going. So kids crawl given the opportunity. We put our babies in the crawling track, and they can keep right on going at night if they wish to do so. So babies actually crawl more in their sleep than they do during the daytime when they're awake. Now, the intelligence staff will tell you that the biggest single problem with the intelligence program is going too slowly and boring the kids. The mobility staff will tell you the biggest single problem is babies not getting enough opportunity right from the very first days of life. And the reason for this is pretty obvious, too. We all become Eskimos as well. My father told you about Aunt Gussie and how Eskimo babies will crawl at birth given the opportunity. Well, since we learned that, now dozens of mothers on the staff, mothers from this course, have gone home. They have become Eskimos. They have given their babies the opportunity to crawl at birth, and lo and behold, given the opportunity, babies will crawl at birth. Well, let's look at what happens to an average baby in our society that doesn't get the opportunity to crawl right from those very first days of life. Well, average babies in our society are born weighing in at about 7 pounds. And in the first 30 days of life, they will gain about 1.75 pounds. Not very much. I can gain that amount at one very good meal. But from the baby's standpoint, it represents a 25% increase in their body weight in a 30-day period. That is a tremendous increase in body weight. Now, if Mrs. Alarcon here was an average woman of 125 pounds, if she was to gain 25% of her body weight in a 30-day period, she would gain 32 pounds. So then she would weigh 157 pounds. Well, if I asked Mrs. Alarcon to come out and go for a little run with me now, she might do that, hopefully happily. But I promise you, after 30 days of gaining that weight, if then I said, come on, let's go out for a run, she would not be at all pleased about that, because it would be a real pain in the neck to try and move with all that body weight. Now, there's an old wives' expression that a fat baby is a healthy baby.